Good afternoon and welcome to NTV at 1, and we're coming to you live from Karen, Nairobi at the Acacia Tree Lodge, where we are going to be having our bulletin. It's a new normal, so we're going to be having to doing things away from the office. And just to let you know and remind you that it's important that you observe the COVID-19 containment protocols as stipulated by the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. Now, we begin our bulletin on a sad note, and the fallen Kiambaa MP Paul Koinange has been described as a dependable leader who stood for what was right, with President Uhuru Kenyatta saying the cruel hand of death has robbed the country of a leader who stood for justice, peace and stability of the country. And this is what we are following up on, and Kennedy Mureithi tells us of the will be telling us of the glowing tributes paid to the former MP Koinange, who died this morning at the Nairobi hospital, where he'd been admitted for about a month battling the ravaging coronavirus pandemic. We shall be having details of that from Kennedy Mureithi in not too long. Now, 4 teachers in Rongo in the county of Migori have been arraigned over exam cheating. The teachers, including the center manager, supervisor and 2 invigilators from Rongo Secondary School Exam Center, were yesterday arrested after one of them, who was supervising examination at a hospital where one student was sitting the KCSE examinations, was found moving exam material without security. Bernardo Juang has more.
4 teachers manning a KCSE examination center in Rongo were arrested yesterday after they were found aiding in exam cheating were today arraigned in Rongo law courts. According to the charge sheet, one of the teachers who was supervising examination at hospital where one of the students was doing exams was found transporting the students' papers alone.
Number 4 is George Magambo. Any objection for subsequent number 1 for detention?
Yesterday, Early Learning and Basic Education PS Dr. Julius Juan said that they are currently monitoring closely some schools in Nyanza region, urging all school principals to be keen with their deputies.
We have schools that we are looking at keenly, we have schools that we have mapped out, and we are checking how they are behaving. We realize that a bit of problem arises from the deputy center managers, the deputy principals. We are encouraging the principals to take charge so that the deputy center managers who are in some of those schools which we have picked out do not play any monkey business with the exams.
The 4, including the center manager, supervisor and 2 invigilators, have been remanded for 10 days as their case will be heard on 9th April.
After 10 days, mention on 9th of April for further orders.
Bernard Ojuang, NTV.
To another sad story, and a man is said to have committed suicide after killing his girlfriend in Thika in the county of Kiambu following a quarrel. The two were students at an institution of higher learning, and neighbors say they had no history of violent arguments.
For 2 days, neighbors in this residential plot in Majengo, Thika did not suspect anything unusual in one of the houses, until Tuesday afternoon, when a foul smell prompted them to knock down this door. Inside, they found the couple, both of them students at a university in the town, were dead and decomposing. Neighbors say they last saw the 2 on Sunday and they showed no signs of conflict.
Kwanza niliangalia last scene ya dem, nikaona last scene yake ilikuwa towards 10:22, of which I thought maybe simu yake ilikuwa imepotea ama imevunjwa, kitu kama hiyo.
Wakati lockdown nilianza Thika, mimi nilifikiria wamechukuana wakaenda Gishagi juu kumefungwa. Pengine msana sasa wameshafunga shule, nikafikiria wameenda nyumbani. Na kijana anaenda kazini. Tulikuwa friends wa karibu sana. Na singe expect vitu kama hiyo tokelezee kwa front kama hii. Na bila naonanga akiona roho yake akiongea kwa upendo, singedhani angeza fanya kitendo kama hicho.
Initial investigations say the man stabbed the woman several times before taking his life. The incident has sent shock among residents, most of whom are students.
Na sasa kwa vijana wenye tumejionea haya, tuache kushinda tukiuana. Mtu akiona mnaleteana shida na mtu, ondokea mtu, si lazima mkanishe na mtu.
Hao ni wanafunzi, ni kama tu wanafunzi wenzetu. Tunajua kama mko kuandaa kwa relationship, mambo ni kuongea, si kutaka step mpaka unatoa mwenzako wai. Tumeona si haifurahishi kabisa.
The bodies are at the General Cargo Mortuary and police have commenced investigations into the incident. Bridget Ghana, NTV.
And to matters agriculture, the government yesterday announced it has put in place measures to facilitate safe trade of maize and other related food commodities from across its borders. Agriculture CS Peter Munya said all dealers of food crops, including the transporters, importers and processors, will be registered afresh in the new measures. And joining us live now is Lois Wangoi, live from Eldoret, with an update. Lois, what do you have for us at this point? All right, we'll be getting to Lois in just a bit, but once again, it's a significant issue when it comes to food security and the likes. And again, just to remind you, one of our biggest stories of the day is that the fallen Kiambaa MP, that's Paul Koinange, has been described as a dependable leader who stood for what was right, with President Uhuru Kenyatta saying the cruel hand of death has robbed the country of a leader who stood for justice, peace and stability of the country. Residents of Kiambaa have described their leader as one who paid keen attention to security and development. NTV's Kevin Morethi tells us of the glowing tributes paid to former MP Koinange, who died this morning at the Nairobi hospital, where he had been admitted for about a month battling the ravaging coronavirus disease. And once again, just to remind you, stay safe, keep clean, and make sure that you're sanitizing as much as you can. Now, let's move to some politics, and the section of the Amani National Congress leadership wants the other political parties in the One Kenya Alliance to endorse ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi for the presidency in 2022. The ANC Mount Kenya chapter wants Gideon Moi of KANU, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya to shelve their presidential ambitions for Mudavadi. They have termed Mudavadi as the best-suited leader to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. The One Kenya Alliance, which is largely made of former opposition coalition NASA principles, has been positioning itself as the political alternative towards the year 2022, that is next year's election.
Akiwa kama naibu wa rais, akiwa kama naibu wa waziri mkuu, na ile kazi alifanya wakati wake yaonekana ya kwamba ndiye ataweza hata kupigana na ufisadi zaidi, na hata kuendeleza vile Kenya itaweza kulipa ile deni tuko naye kubwa, sababu tayari kazi imefanywa.
Tunaomba viongozi wote katika nchi yetu kutoka kaunti 47 wote waungane na One Kenya Alliance, wakuje pale waungane ili tuweze kuunganisha nchi yetu, na ili sisi kama wa Kenya tupate uongozi ambao tutajivunia.
Let's dig back into matters agriculture, reminding you that yesterday the government announced it has put in place measures to facilitate safe trade of maize and other related food commodities from across its borders. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary, that's Peter Munya, said all dealers of food crops, including the transporters, importers and processors, will be registered afresh in the new measures. Joining us live with the details is Lois Wangoi from Eldoret in the county of Uasin Gishu. Lois, what's the update from that end of our breadbasket counties?
Dan, and to you, dear viewer. This live broadcast caught us up in the line of duty at Ngeria in the county of Uasin Gishu. We are here to find responses and reactions by farmers and indeed other stakeholders with regards to the government announcement of supplying subsidized fertilizer through NCPB and KNTC institutions or depots spread across the country. The government now says they have reduced the pricing of DAP fertilizer for a 50-kilogram bag, and they will be distributing that at 3,100 shillings, away from the usual 3,500 Kenyan shillings, and at times that pricing goes up to 4,200 Kenyan shillings. The government notes this is among other measures they are putting in place to cushion farmers ahead of this planting season with regards economic disruptions by COVID-19, the high or the increasing Kenyan exchange rate against the Kenyan shilling against the dollar, and also the increased fuel pricing. The government noting these will go to decreasing the costs of production for farmers in the country, and of course that will translate into more profits and more coins into their pockets. Away from that declaration, the CS also touched on matters of food safety, where he noted the government is putting even more stringent measures to ensure that cross-border trade produces safe food into the country, and he noted there was a problem with some of the maize coming in from the neighboring Tanzania and Uganda countries, where some was found to have a high aflatoxin levels, which is dangerous to the consumer. And so the government also noted that they will be putting forth a 4-point footer note to establish that food coming in through cross-border trade is indeed safe. So later in our subsequent bulletin, we shall be touching on that 4-pointer note, and also we'll be getting reactions from our farmers on how the pricing of DAP fertilizer to 3,100 shillings per kilogram bag, away from the usual 3,500 up to 4,200 pricing at times, will affect them, and what are the benefits and also the disadvantages of this particular fertilizer as our farmers take to the planting season. For now, back to you, Dan, in Nairobi. Karen?
Thank you very much, Lois Wangoi from Cheptiret, which is in the county of Uasin Gishu, for that update in regards to what's happening with our food security situation in the country, especially now being a concern in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated lockdowns and measures that have been taken. Now, holders of illegal firearms in Isiolo, Meru, Samburu and Marsabit counties have been given a 7-day ultimatum to surrender them unwillingly, or rather willingly, to government authorities or risk facing forceful disarmament. Now, Regional Coordinator of Eastern Region, Isaiah Nakoru, has termed the continued availability of illegal firearms in civilian hands, especially among the pastoralist communities in the 4 counties, as the biggest threat to peace in the region. He attributed the ongoing flare-ups at Com area, which borders Isiolo, Samburu and Marsabit counties, to guns in the wrong hands.
Wananchi kama watashirikiana kuleta bunduki kwa hiari, hatutakuwa na ile tunaita forcible disarmament. Ni mali tu watu wataleta ukaidi, ndio hapo sasa itatubidi tutumie nguvu. Lakini hadi wakati huu hatutasema, lakini tumekubaliana na wasee, na tumekuwa na wasee kutoka kaunti hizo 4 zile nimetaja. Tumekuwa na wakilishi katika kaunti hizo 4. Tumekuwa na wasee karibu 150 ambao tumeongelea na tumekubaliana na mambo.
Let's go back to our top story, where the fallen Kiamba MP, that's Paul Koinange, has been described as a dependable leader who stood for what is right, with President Uhuru Kenyatta saying that the cruel hand of death has robbed the country of a leader who stood for justice, peace and stability. NTV's Kennedy Mureithi tells us of the leader who has been described as being keen to attention to security and development, and he passed on this morning after battling COVID-19.
The late Paul Koinange was a respectable figure within Parliament. His phone could ring off the hook almost daily from his colleagues who wanted him to intervene on security matters in their constituencies.
Ongea na kinoti alafu raia yote nasikia wewe ukiongea chairman.
His docket being one of the most crucial committees that linked Parliament. The late Paul Koinange was a respectable figure within Parliament. His phone could ring off the hook almost daily from his colleagues who wanted him to intervene on security matters in their constituencies.
Ongea na kinoti alafu raia yote nasikia wewe ukiongea chairman.
His docket being one of the most crucial committees that linked Parliament and the executive. The politician, a close ally of President Uhuru Kenyatta, succumbed to the coronavirus Wednesday morning while receiving treatment at the Nairobi hospital. It is said the MP had been in the ICU for almost a month as doctors battled to save his life. President Uhuru Kenyatta has led the country in mourning the MP, describing him as a dependable leader and a key cog in maintaining peace in the country. He notes in his message of condolence, the cruel hand of death has robbed us of a steadfast leader, a leader and a gentleman whose undivided focus was the peace, stability and progress of our country. He continues to say, through the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security, where he served as chairperson, Honorable Koinange advanced legislation and policy interventions that sought to create a peaceful, stable and tranquil nation. Deputy President William Ruto says Honorable Paul Koinange was a dependable, illustrious and visionary figure who worked for the people of Kiamba constituency with diligence. His immediate boss, the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, says it is very sad that the country has lost him at such a time just when he was spearheading his committee in the efforts to consolidate peace and security among communities involved in inter-ethnic conflicts across the country. ODM leader Raila Odinga describes him as a personal friend, noting his loss has dealt him a serious blow. He says, the people of Kiambaa have lost in Paul Koinange, a diligent and dependable leader whose undivided focus was the unity, stability and progress of the country. Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi says, my condolences to the family and people of Kiambaa upon the passing of the late Honorable Paul Koinange. He will be missed by many. May his soul rest in peace. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has described the fallen MP as a dependable person. Residents of Kiambaa, as well as the administration officers in the county of Kiambu, have paid glowing tribute to the MP, saying he had played a critical role in providing crucial linkages between the constituency and the national government.
Kamati ya security ya bunge alishikilia kwa umakini sana. Kila wakati ukiuliza ungesikia ameenda hapa na pale, alizunguka Kenya nzima kuhakikisha kwamba kuna usalama nchini.
Mheshimiwa tunayemkumbuka kwa kuwa na upendo na kupenda watu wake na kuwa kushikanisha jamii letu la hapa Kiambaa.
Mimi nitamkumbuka akiwa a legislator ama mwanasiasa uko parliament, mtu anapenda peace.
Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
May his soul rest in peace, and may his family, friends, and all those who are around him and close to him receive the comfort and the grace. We take a short break on NTV at 1. We'll be back after this with more.
Are you looking for a university that offers quality and affordable education, training and research while nurturing your talents? Chuka University is the ultimate choice. With the state-of-the-art learning facilities, comprehensive curricula, you are guaranteed to achieve your career dreams. Join our May intake and experience world-class training. Chuka University. Knowledge is wealth.
Introducing Ushindi Cream Bar Soap. Ushindi Cream Bar Soap with Oxy Bright removes stains effortlessly and brightens colors. Available in 1 kilogram and 800 gram bars and 175 gram tablets. Also available in all your favorite variants. Ushindi, a quality product from Pwani Oils.
Parenting is all about learning. When to be tough and when to be gentle. Tough, gentle. But when it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Tough call. Panadol Baby and Infant. Tough on fever, gentle on your child.
I'm gonna make some oatmeal crepes.
You need to cook it like 5 times if you want. You can see all the juices coming up there.
It looks super fancy. You're going to see it in the finishing, how it looks.
With vegetables. Enjoy.
Pishi in association with Kikkoman soy sauce.
On this table, we present the best of the best. And for those that dare to go the extra mile, the ones that try something new, to them, we reserve a seat at the table. Introducing Kikkoman for taste and tradition.
Welcome back to NTV at 1. We're coming to you live from the Acacia Tree Lodge in Karen, Nairobi. It's one of those working from home kind of settings because the COVID pandemic is here with us, and like they said, the third wave is furious. Now, ferry services have been withdrawn in Mombasa during the peak hours and pedestrians directed to use the Liwatoni floating bridge. Law enforcement agencies insist that only vehicles will be allowed to use the vessels, urging locals to cooperate in order to avoid any confrontation. Kevin Mutai also reports that there is need to enforce the use of face masks to prevent the spread of the virus.
Thousands of Likoni residents in Mombasa woke up to a different treatment from as early as 4 a.m. Wednesday. They were all directed to use the Liwatoni pedestrian floating bridge just 2 days after the county's emergency committee on COVID-19 imposed the directive.
Itakuwa mzuri zaidi wakati watu wamevaa mask. Kwa jua upande ule kidogo unapata watu wanaangaliwa, wanahakikisha wamevaa vizuri. But hapa majority are just putting mask on their chin.
The bridge will be open to the public from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. daily. Then from 9 o'clock, locals will be allowed to use the ferries as the floating bridge will be disconnected to allow vessels navigate to the port of Mombasa. In the evening from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., pedestrian vessels will be withdrawn from the channel as the traffic will be directed to the bridge. Only vehicles, tuk-tuks and motorcycles are allowed to use the vessels at the Likoni crossing channel.
Tutapanga laini kama zamani, lakini tufungulie feri, at least tupate watu wafanyania kufanya chakula. Kuna chakula sahi, biashara zilizorodeka.
Natuumiza sisi wananchi. Kikweli tuumia. Huu mzigo peke yake hivi ulivyo, nasikia tamu mimi mwenyewe. Si mchezo.
Kuna wengine wetu kwa nasema kwamba hii kitu haiwezi kufanya kazi. Lakini kwa sasa mimi nasema kitu kimoja. Rafiki yangu hata sasa pia ananiona sasa nilimwambia hii bridge kuna siku atakuja kuipita. Hii bridge iko sawa.
All public transport vehicles have also been diverted to both termini at the bridge. Security has also been beefed up in the area to assure locals of their safety. But pedestrians are complaining over what they term as laxity from those managing the bridge, urging them to display proper guidelines to avoid inconsistencies.
Wafundi wa hii bridge wawe makini, maana tumeona majanga asubuhi, kulikuwa ilikuwa imekataa kufunguka, imechukua masaa mengi kufunguka.
The government is also planning to construct Mombasa Gate Bridge as a permanent solution in the channel that will be used by both pedestrians and commuters.
We already are completing the terminals, matatu terminals on both sides of the bridge. Lighting has been enhanced on the bridge itself. We will schedule better so that the bridge is in use most of the day, except when the ships are crossing.
The government now insists that residents must use the Liwatoni floating bridge in a move aimed at combating the spread of COVID-19 as well as decongesting the ferry crossing channel. Kevin Mutai, NTV in Mombasa.
And put on your mask well and make sure you clean your hands well and avoid having less than the social distance that is prescribed. Now let's move across borders. In South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced a 4-day ban on takeaway alcohol consumption over the Easter weekend over fears of a possible third wave of coronavirus infections. South Africa, which has recorded over 1.5 million patients, has seen infection rates stabilizing in recent weeks at an average of 1,200 per day, according to the president. But Ramaphosa warned against complacency, saying that the role of alcohol in encouraging negligent behavior could not be understated, particularly during the busy 4-day weekend.
Given the role of alcohol in fueling reckless behavior, we will put in place some restrictions over the Easter weekend. To this end, the sale of alcohol for off-site consumption will be prohibited this coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Just those 4 days. This pandemic is still very much with us. We must act with caution, not just this coming weekend, but in the days and the weeks and months ahead. We do not know when the virus will be behind us, but we all know what must be done.
Well, like he's saying, it need to be careful with about the drinking of alcohol over the Easter period. And some people have said, don't do the very same thing that Jesus died for. Now, the national sporting activities shut down again due to effects of COVID-19. The popularity of electronic sports or esports is continuing to gain ground. The Red Bull Campus Clutch Kenyan qualifiers will take place between the 10th and 24th of April with the national finals on 15th of May. The event will culminate in a world final in June. The competition is a global esports tournament for university students with more than 300 universities and 50 countries taking part.
We'll be at the same place with the global team. Gaming in Kenya is really taking off. We're not where we need to be, baby steps, but in the next couple of years, 5-10 years, we'll be at the same